Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so today we're going to talk about what was the purpose for you having to interact with the narcissist. What was the purpose for the narcissist having to attack you? And then we're going to get into Fight Club and how these two not only interact, but there's a direct connection. Okay, so here's the deal. Everything is kind of a, what is the word I'm looking for? It's like the opposite. Like we have separate parts that are the opposite of who we are, okay? We also have parts inside ourselves that are the complete 180 degrees, 100% total opposite of each other. Now here's the deal. When they integrate, you begin to get more power, okay? So, in other words, instead of being divided and separate, which makes it weak, you come together and they integrate and become one. Not two pieces together, but just one piece, a bigger piece. They came together as one. So start looking at human beings, or really the spirit of who we truly are on the inside of the human body, as beings who've been on the planet or have been around for many, many lifetimes, okay? And because of that, we've picked up a lot of karma. We've divided multiple times. We have all these parts flying around, and we're kind of divided inside. Well, part of me wants to do this, but a part of me wants to do that. That literally means there's two separate parts. One part has these values and beliefs. This part has these values and beliefs, and they pull in two different directions. This is why a lot of people can't seem to accomplish anything in life. It's kind of like, well, it's like I'm fighting myself. Like you really want to achieve this goal, but well, you're beaten by a narcissistic parent or brother or sister, so every time you won something or succeeded, they would physically beat you for it or verbally beat you down and shame you. So this causes you to divide a part off, and now a part of you says, okay, I'm not going to, I don't want to feel the shame, so I'm not going to succeed. But then there's this other part of you that wants to succeed, so you're pulling in two different directions. So the ultimate goal is to begin to integrate this stuff. So instead of two separate engines going in two different directions, inside a car, it's one wants to go forward, one wants to go backwards. Now the engines become together as one, twice as powerful engine, and they're both pulling in the same direction. So now you're going in the direction you want without resistance and much more power. So yes, there are NLP parts integration techniques we can use to integrate your parts. There's also energy healing, which will integrate what they call charges. It's the same thing, but on an energetic level. Now, let's talk about narcissists and why they came into your life. The ultimate reason narcissists came into your life because you had some stuff that was underneath the surface that was hidden, that was all, but it always affected your life. Like you were trying to move forward in life with a goal or money or whatever, but you could never seem to get past a certain point. Or you'd make money, then you'd go back down and lose the money and go back up and down. So it's like this back and forth pull. So when a narcissist comes into your world, what they do is they poke you and poke you and poke you, and they mirror you and mirror you. And what happens is your parts come up from the dark side of you, okay? The good news is when they come up, you become conscious of them, and that's the number one way you begin to heal and integrate these separated parts. Now, it's a very painful experience. You don't like it. It's not welcome, but it really does help you become much more powerful if you begin to face these parts and you begin to do what you need to do to develop them and heal them and integrate them and all that stuff. Now, on the narcissist side, many of them just go deeper into alcohol, deeper into drugs. They just refuse to face their issues. So anytime they get any of this emotion, this feeling, shame or guilt, or they know they should do something, they just know, screw that, let's watch a movie, let's get on TikTok, let's freaking go on YouTube, let's freaking go onto dating apps, let's become a sexaholic, alcoholic, drugaholic, workaholic, whatever, and just block everything out. And those are all just things you can use to block stuff out. So what is an alcoholic? What is a drug addict? What is someone who's addicted to pain pills? What is someone who's a sexaholic or a workaholic? Now, I used to not believe in workaholic. I just thought, how can you be a workaholic? The more you work, the better, right? Well, I actually knew someone who was a workaholic, and he avoided his wife, he avoided his family, he did everything in his power, and this guy would only get 3 to 4 hours of sleep. He would just work non-stop. And the thing is, he owned his own business. He didn't have to do that. So what it turns out is this was someone who was just massively avoiding their life issues, their own personal stuff that was going on inside them. And that's essentially what happens to everyone. When you heal those parts, all of a sudden you don't want a cigarette. All of a sudden you don't really crave drinking. All that stuff just got locked in, or you connected, oh, this helps me deal with this. Well, it didn't help you deal with it. It helped you to bury it. So now I got some kind of good news for the light workers, empaths, light warriors, whatever you want to call yourselves, or just the open-hearted, loving people who got attacked by narcissists. For you needed to learn how to stand up for yourself. You needed to learn how to say no. You needed to learn how to walk away from negative people that were belittling you, beating you down, etc., etc. So you had to learn how to stand up for yourself. You had to learn how to fight for yourself, fight for your rights, demand what you want, and not give up and keep going after it, even to fight for your dignity. See, all of this stuff, okay, let's take respect. Respect is not something that's given to you. People will never give you respect. It's just not a part of reality. Again, it's exactly like the Wizard of Oz. The minute you pull that curtain open and reveal the narcissist, you pull the mask off, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I see what's going on behind the scenes. It sucks. You kind of freak out because you're like, wait a minute, I thought it... All right, here's the biggest thing that happens. You thought this person was this one person over here, this Christian, this nutritionist, this healthy person, this person that cared about people. No, they were just reflecting who you were. And then when the mask is pulled off, you get a little you get a lot terrified. You're like, because it's like, whoa, when you realize that's not that person at all, there's a sense of fear that goes through you. Like, well, what the, because you're like, this person's been playing this role and acting this whole time. Yeah. So the overall thing that you have to understand is, okay, here's the deal. This is really, not only is it the game changer, it's the game ender. It's what ends this whole narcissistic thing. So there's people that are on YouTube that have had their channels for 5, 6, 7 years on narcissists. Now, I started mine about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 now. We're getting close to it. And these people are still going, well, you got to keep looking out for the narcissist. No, here's what happens. When you begin to develop standing up for yourself, develop fighting for your rights, develop screaming at someone, saying no, fuck no, fighting for yourself, when you begin to stand up for yourself and fight back, your whole world changes. Now, it doesn't mean, well, I did it one time, but it keeps happening. Well, it's got to be a lot more than one time. It's almost like you've got to not only prove to God, you've got to prove it to yourself. All right, I've got a great way to explain this. So you have to do it consistently over and over and over, and then it starts becoming easier, and you start to notice this. It's exactly like learning a skill like boxing or kickboxing or shooting a bow and arrow or doing a certain flip or technique in gymnastics. In the beginning, you're going to fall on your ass. You're basically going to get your ass kicked. That is a part of life. And the beginning of anything, you're going to suck at it. That's just life. You're going to have to work at it and develop it and get better and better. Well, here's what happens. It's not a matter of proving to yourself, the universe, or God, or even a narcissist that, they stood up for themselves one time successfully and it worked. No, it's you have to become another person. You have to shift, you have to develop, you have to change so much that it just becomes like an automatic response of, this is how you deal with assholes. Oh, this is how you deal with people that gaslight you. Oh, this is how you deal with people who do this. It becomes a part of your natural repertoire. And then the universe, God, whatever you believe in, allows you to move forward in life. Here's the deal. You have to learn how to stand up for yourself, to fight for your rights, to fight for what you want. Even respect. People are not going to give you respect. That is just not reality. You are never going to walk into a store and grab $1,000 worth of items and just walk out without paying. It's just not reality. But here's the really, really cool thing about all of this. once you finally do stand up for yourself, and I'm telling you, it's kind of like it's like a damn video game. I'm not kidding. It's almost like, oh, I did, and the response that you'll receive, you're like, I was not expecting that. I was expecting them to be like, F you, and totally attacking, yelling and screaming. Like, no, it's like they just, boom, it's like a robot that got shut down. You're like, that's all it took? Oh my God, all these freaking years I've been living in fear for yelling at people, saying no, telling people to F off, blocking people, speaking up for myself, standing up for myself, and that's all it took? Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. Remember, I was this big national champion kickboxer, state champion boxer, wrestler, benched 365, studied martial arts since I was 4 years old, and I socially, publicly could not stand up. As long as I was in the ring, I'd kick ass. I'd beat someone's ass. Out in Publix, you would have to hit me 2, 3, 4 times before I even thought about fighting back. That's how socially conditioned I was. This is not a size thing. This is not a muscle thing. This is not a male or female thing. This is not how strong you are thing. This is a verbal standing up for yourself thing. I remember all my life until a few years back looking at these little women, even teenage girls who would just bark at grown men that were literally a foot or more taller, at least 75 pounds heavier and stronger. And these men would literally like tuck tail and go, oh, okay, sorry. And I'm like, how the hell do they do that? Or there's an image I have in my mind of this really short Asian lady. She's 5 foot tall. She's about 110 pounds. And this woman had command. Nobody messed with her. Because she learned. People will back down if you truly stand up for yourself, and it's a feeling inside that you have this right, and that it's congruent. That's the word I'm looking for. And also people are like, oh shit, boom, they're out of here. And it's literally like a video game. And one of my past videos, probably 4, 5, 6 days ago, or maybe I just uploaded it, maybe it hasn't came out yet, but you begin to realize. So it can't be fake. It has to be from your heart, from your soul. When you come from that place, there's a sense of power. It's almost like, call it the Matrix, the video game that we're living in. It's the oddest thing. You're like, wow, that person just shut down just like that. That's all I had. It's the most The first couple years that this happened to me, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? That's like, really? That's all I had to do? And even older people when I was a kid, like, Michael, that's what I was trying to tell you since you were in high school. I was like, that was it? They're like, yeah, that's what I kept trying to tell you. Something changes in your spine. Literally, you kind of just straighten up a little bit. Your eyes open a little bit. Your movement is more open. And people's unconscious minds / reptilian brains pick up on that and they're like, oh shit. And the thing you have to understand, 92% of the population on the entire planet is walking around in this reptilian kind of brain. There's a place in the Bible, when I was a little kid, I was about 4.5, 5 years old, I was reading the Bible, and I just remember it saying that God gave man dominion over the animals, and I was like, how is that possible? Because you look at lions and tigers, and you're thinking those things could just rip people apart, and yet the funny thing about it is, it says something to the effect because you stand upright, or it's because humans stand upright. Animals are actually, their forelegs are down, so they're looking straight forward in a different way than you are, and so then they have to kind of look up, and it does something to the reptilian brain. Like, okay, I just saw a video. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going to see if I can, hold on. Alright, so here it is. So there's a clip of a man on a YouTube short where him and his girlfriend are there, and his girlfriend steps out of the picture as this moose. Now, I used to live in Alaska, so I know what moose looks like. Or not looks like, but I understand this is not a fully grown moose. This is probably a year or 2 year old. I would call it not quite a baby, but it's not too old. But the point being is this damn thing suddenly stopped because this man, so he had a stick in his hand. He points it at the damn thing. He goes, roar! He growled at the thing really loud. Well, not even that loud, actually. And what ends up happening, he ends up turning, and then he raises it above his head, and then the moose starts to walk away. Now, this is something that I actually teach people in my course, especially men in the Cracked Female Code course, because women feel very comforted when a man is internal. Now, again, the image I have in my mind is this really petite, small Asian lady who was probably 45 years old, and she just had full command. And one of the reasons is because she was a very internal, emotionally and physically grounded being. And you walk around like it's a sense of being solid, and people don't mess with you. No, she didn't study martial arts. She didn't lift weights. She didn't do yoga. She just had her own business and she commanded. Now and the thing about this was, she was feminine. She wasn't bossy. She wasn't a bully. But whenever somebody tried to push her around, she just would look. I remember one time, she looked right at this guy, and I'm kind of over the corner grinning like he has no idea who he's fucking with. And she just looked right at him. And he's like, you could see his spine, his lower butt, tailbone tucked under, and his shoulders kind of crouched forward and together. And I just kind of grinned, and I walked up to her. Now she knew me kind of, didn't know me well, but I said, "Man, you really command people." She grinned. She goes, "It's just all inside." You could say she was my inspiration because as a male, we always think, oh, it's about, you got to be bigger, you got to be taller, you got to be stronger, you got to be the best kickboxer, you got to be the best martial artist. I am fucking telling you, excuse my language, but I was all of that, and I commanded almost zero social power, zero social respect. People just didn't respect me. People walked all over me. It was because I didn't understand how to do it. I didn't even understand what there was to do. So yes, in my coaching, a lot of things, it's really not the NLP stuff. It's the stuff I learned from an energy healer and a Buddhist monk. And just things that I picked up and figured out over time about being internal, becoming more solid and grounded. People will respect that. People will be like, oh, suddenly like they have an awareness of you, okay? So if you need coaching on this, if you're a male, female, etc., just let me know. All right, let me say this. Learning how to be internal and truly emotionally grounded is a very, very challenging thing. There's a series of techniques that I will take you through, teach you, and you're going to have to practice them and get really good at it because you will physically feel it. You'll feel an absolute shift. All right, so now let's go back to this image. Now, this comes from Fight Club. So Brad Pitt, I don't remember what his name was in the movie, but Brad Pitt in Fight Club had pulled all the guys together and said, hey, I'm going to give you a homework assignment. You have to go out there and you have to start a fight with a total stranger. And I don't remember if there's any rules, but I definitely remember he had said, he goes, you have to lose. That was part of the thing. So these guys would go out there, and like this guy, mechanic, who has his own shop there, he just sprays these two businessmen with water. And then later on, he does it to a priest. So the funny thing is the priest is the only one who actually stood up for himself, and he was the smallest one. The other one was two actually fairly big dudes in business suits, fairly aggressive dudes, and they just kept walking. And so with the priest though, he physically, like the priest came over, grabbed the hose, and then finally this guy kind of open palm punches him in the chest, just pushes him away, but kind of hard. And then the priest was pissed off. So then what happened was this guy sprays him again. And then the priest finally was the first one that fights back, and he punches him right in the chest. And the guy kind of buckles down. And they kind of got in a scuffle. But remember, the rule was you had to lose. Like they had to win. And here's the thing that happened. They all came back and they started talking about it, and they were all just basically, I don't remember the verbatim, but the message or the learning was this, was they were all saying like how hard it was to get people to actually fight you without actually just pummeling them. It was just like people just won't fight. Like even like the guy was just spraying water at the dudes, and like there was another guy, salesman, he went to the car dealership, and he just starts messing with the salesman, and I think he had to actually push him down or flip him over a car, and then the salesman started the fight. So the one thing that they all realized is like 9 out of 10 people will not fight. They will not stand up for themselves. They won't do anything. All right, so what's my point of sharing the story? It's time to stand up for yourself. You would be shocked at how much people will back down. Now, here's the deal. I'm not saying go around and start picking fights. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying call your narcissist up and no. I'm saying if people come at you, if people start shit with you, if your narcissist keeps coming back. So, again, this is not just about the narcissist. Okay, here's the deal. It's almost like a training ground. It's like you need to learn how to stand up for yourself. So the narcissist... Okay, hold on. Let me give you a second. All right, I got it. Here it is. So remember, I tell you what, I do not believe this narcissist was just some happenstance thing. And the thing about, for most of you, when you realize what narcissists abuse, the tactics, the techniques, you're like, holy shit, this has been going on since I was a little kid. My teacher, my dad, my brother, my sister, you know, when I went to college, my roommate, like, and you're like, holy shit, it was my first girlfriend, first boyfriend, the next one, like, what's going on? And that's what happens. You finally go, what in the hell is going on? Because you start to see the pattern. When you start to see the pattern, pop, that's when the part begins to heal. This was all a healing process. So I'm not gonna go in depth right now, but the way you heal parts and charges is by becoming aware of the patterns. And that's how you become aware of them. You're like, wait, what's going on here? Why does this keep happening? That is the first step into consciousness, which is the first step of healing that specific part. And remember, once you truly heal the charges and parts around these issues, all of a sudden you get to move forward in life without having to deal with this stuff. Sure, you'll deal with a gas station clerk, but they won't. Here's the deal. The difference is this. They won't connect to you like how the narcissist just was persistent. They never let go. And then you had another one, then another, and it wouldn't just be. So here's the difference. Eventually, there's an end game. Once you heal these charges and parts, it's like there's nothing for them to cling to anymore. Sure, you might go to the gas station, this guy was a dickhead, and you're like, holy shit, that's a narcissist. Like, it becomes real obvious. So instead of it being this long, drawn out year after year, 9 months, 12 months, et cetera, it's just like you bump into someone, they're an asshole, they're a jerk, they're weird, you're like, oh, it's a narcissist, you move on. So here's the deal. The lesson isn't really about identifying a narcissist. The lesson is about you standing up for yourself, identifying when people are being rude, being disrespectful. Again, a lot of people will say, like, well, how do I know someone's a narcissist? Like, no, you don't need to know that. That is not the real challenge. The real challenge is when people are being rude, disrespectful, lying to you, gaslighting, cheating, hurting you, doing mean things. Instead of, remember, what do empaths do? Oh, we just want to see the best in people. So what we do, we highlight the very little good that's in them and we magnify it like that's who they are. No. That's not who they are. That's a little tiny part of who they are. Who they really are, or the majority of them, is this majority darkness. Whereas with empaths, it's the other way around. So what do narcissists do? Narcissists will magnify. They look and there's got to be something wrong with this person. There's got to be something I can point out. There's got to be something. And then when they find some little speck, or even if they twist things into looking like it's bad, then they magnify it as if this is who this person is. They're 99% bad, when actually you're 99% good. But when it came to standing up for yourself, you were like 1%. You had to turn that 1% into the 99% of standing up for yourself and being strong. So what do narcissists have to learn and develop? They have to learn compassion. They have to learn kindness. They have to learn how to treat people better. I think both of us, empaths, we have to learn how to be loving towards ourselves. So when people say, oh, you got to have self-respect, you got to have boundaries, what does that mean? That means if someone is mean to you, if they hurt you emotionally, you have to love yourself enough to be like, yeah, no, I don't accept this. This is unacceptable behavior. And to either, tell them once, and if they fix it, great. And if they don't, then you walk. I don't care who it is. You leave. You cut them out of your life. You put a wall up to them. So then what is self-love? Well, it's boundaries. It's not allowing people to be rude, mean, or disrespectful to you and saying, nope, then I'm not going to be friendly to you. I'm not going to be nice. You might have to work with them. You might have to go to the same school or the same whatever. That doesn't mean you have to be nice to them. It doesn't mean you have to be cordial. And it doesn't mean that you have to have conversations with them. You can put the ice wall up. All right, so here's one of the final pieces. So one of the purposes of Fight Club that most people missed was about letting go. There was a point in the video where they're going down the road and Brad Pitt's like, let go. And as I was listening, oh my God, that's what I teach people in my course, because I had to learn how to completely let go emotionally, physically. Once you learn how to completely let go, it's like you become free. See, what's happening is you're the one that's controlling everything, which means like you're holding the door shut. Not them, not something else. It's actually you. See, when you truly learn to let go, you let go of your ego. You let go of that thinking. That's what he's talking about. Now, in the movie, in the scene, they were driving down the highway, And I forget what Brad was saying to Edward Norton when he was driving the car, or what they were talking about. And Brad Pitt goes, "Let go." He goes, "What are you talking?" He goes, "Let go." And he goes, "Are you crazy? We'll crash." And the other guys, they said something like, I forget what, some little chant they would always say. And finally, Edward Norton goes, "Well, okay, fine." And yeah, sure enough, it drove off the side of the road. It went down this ditch, and they crashed. And for the most part, no one got hurt. They got like a cut on the forehead and stuff like that. Now, I'm not telling you to go crash in a car. That's not what I'm saying. Please don't get that. The point being is, when you learn how to let go emotionally, to emotionally let go, that's when you finally have emotional freedom. Learning how to let go is a challenge. But the funny thing, it's really just one thing. Just boom, you completely let go of everything. What happens is you stop worrying about what people think of you. You stop worrying about, oh, do I have enough money? You stop worrying about all this little bullshit that you've worried about your whole fucking life. And you can't sleep at night, and you have anxiety. This is what causes anxiety. When you truly learn how to let go, you become free. You become free to perform, to fight, to use your techniques in a much, much more powerful and natural way. You know, when I was fighting, here's a good way of explaining it. So I had meditated for years, for hours in the morning, like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night for 12 years, and many hours on the weekend. We're talking 8, 12, 15, 16 hours on the weekend each day. So that was towards the end. That was about, I think, the 10th, 11th, 12th year, and then I just popped, and boom, I was in this just complete space of freedom. That's why I like to meditate, because after I meditated, I'd be free for about 3 or 4 hours, and then I noticed I'd go back into my ego, and then I'd have to meditate again, and so it became, you had to do it enough to where, boom, you popped out of it. Alright, so in boxing, there was a match I had. Now, in the beginning, the coach would keep your hands up, block the punches, all this defensive bullshit. And I remember, like, this guy was beating me because I was, having to fight, like, with my hands up, left, right, left, right. It was just, like, awkward, and it's like you're in a fucking box, and it wasn't natural. It was mechanical and controlled. And I remember it was, like, my third fight, and one day I'm in the ring, and my coach said, "Keep your hands up," and something in me said, "This is not fucking working." And I just let go. I let loose, and I just let my hands down and started throwing, and boom, I picked this guy apart, and I won the match. Well, here's the thing. I completely let go of thinking. So when I got into kickboxing years later, this was my coach Jacob Stutz-Duran back then. So there was a match. Again, I think it was my second match, because I remember, like, he's like, "Okay, stay tight." And he didn't say stay tight, but like, keep your hands up, block everything, do this, do that. And I remember the first round I had lost, and I was kind of fucking pissed. And I went out the second round, and it was only a 3-round fight, and I'm thinking, I'm going to lose this damn fight if I keep fighting like this. And I said, fuck this. And I just, like, completely let loose, and it was like I transformed into this just absolute great fighter, because I just let loose. I dropped my hands, and I'm just flicking the jab out there, move, flick, move, flick, boom, boom, boom. It was a masterful round. I tore this guy up. I was going around to the right, round to the left, jab, move to the right, overhand right, kick. I was just doing everything. And when I came back, my coach and my teammate were like, where the hell did that come from? Because in practice, like, hey, cover up. That's what they'd say. They'd say cover up. And I'm like, that's just, and I go, "Coach, I'm sorry, but that's the way I got to fight if I'm going to win. Otherwise, I'm going to lose." And he's, no, keep doing it. And the third round, I ended up knocking the guy out. So what's my purpose? What's my point here? I'm not sitting there telling you to go out there and start fighting people. I'm starting to I'm saying this. There's a space where you can emotionally let go. And when you finally get to that space, it's going to be the most enjoyable place in the world. Things will come up naturally without thinking. You'll know it's the right thing to say. It's the right thing to do. It just becomes automatic. Hey guys, I hope this video helped you guys out and kind of gave you an idea of where you can take your life and where you can go, okay? And I mean on a mental, emotional, and personal level, that there's a level of freedom out there that you're just beginning to tap into. When I work with my clients, I don't care if they're a Fortune 500 executive, if they're worth $300 million, $90 million, they own a plane, etc. When they walk in the door, they walk out a completely, radically changed person. Hey, this is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Remember, click subscribe, click the like button, and if you want, go ahead and click on the donation button right down there below, donate some money, or buy one of my books on my dating relationship site at MikeColleen.com. God bless you guys. See you soon.